On December 4th, 2017, Scott Cawthon released Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, a pizzeria tycoon game that was disguised as the sixth game in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Many people before, in 2016, were hyped for the release of Pizzeria Simulator, not only for the story to be concluded, but also the return of Springtrap. And when we finally saw Springtrap yet again, he looked... I think it's already been said, but the design looks pretty bad. His textures look like something that was made with pixels or Minecraft. His head is way too big, and the corpse inside of the suit looks nothing like the corpse from the original Springtrap model from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So, why is this? Well, I could honestly assume that Scott was rushed to make Pizzeria Simulator after the ending of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, especially with Custom Night. Because after you beat Golden Freddy mode in sister location Custom Night, there's a cutscene of Michael Afton talking to his father that he's going to go find him, with Springtrap appearing, indicating that William Afton heard his son's call. Within the story context of Sister Location and Pizzeria Simulator, after the fire at Fazbear's Fright, Springtrap's suit was completely damaged and went to an abandoned Fredbear's location and found a new empty suit and did some costume swapping and became a different moldy green rabbit man. That's the context for the games, but I have heard some people ask, isn't William Afton trapped inside of Springtrap? Like, isn't he permanently trapped inside? And the answer is no. The Five Nights at Freddy's novel trilogy, while not being directly canon to the games, do give insight on how this world works. And William Afton actually escaped the Springlock suit not once, but twice. The first time he was left scarred after the Springlock failure. In the third novel, he surgically removed himself from the suit after being Springtrapped for over a year. Now, I'm not going to make fun of Scott for this one design, and no, this is not an attack on Scott for his modeling. Scott has made pretty awesome designs in the past, like the Wizards, the Funtime animatronics, the Nightmare animatronics, and Springtrap himself. And in other games outside of the FNAF franchise, the Desolate Hope, his skills really shine. So that's why I'm willing to guess that Scott was just rushed when making this design of the new look for Springtrap. And I have seen a lot of other redesigns for Scraptrap, most of which take it into a much different direction, and obviously some are meant to just be Springtrap from the ending of Sister Location Custom Night. But I want to do my own take on it. But let's go over the real issues with the design. Looking at the original design for Scraptrap, you can tell there are a lot of things wrong with it. Firstly, the ears are far in the back of his head and not forward in the front, which was something that many Bonnie designs have gotten right over the years. He has a huge gash on his head, which I don't really helps the design. His eyes look metallic and doesn't look anything like the original creepy eyes that Springtrap had in the third game. He has a traditional Bonnie muzzle, which I'm not actually against, and his nose is a plastic texture rather than the cloth texture that Springtrap had. He has two buck teeth that make him look like a certain character that was milked all to hell and destroyed an entire franchise. And on his bottom jaw, he has small needle-like teeth that I'm only guessing are meant to have the suit teeth detach from or be attached on, but it doesn't really fit. Moving downward, we see that his suit is more exposed than the original, which is something I plan to fix. A lot of his bumps and tears look like pixels from an 8-bit video game or textures from Minecraft. I think it was supposed to be a battered and banged up look, but since Scott ran out of time, he just left it as it is. On his right arm, his hand has bone fingers, and the fingers are a different color to his left arm, which has a sort of bone knife, which is white. So I'm only guessing that the bone fingers and the face of the skull are actually meant to be mummified skin. Moving down to the legs, they're still more torn and teared up, and the feet have suit feet rather than the metal feet that Springtrap had. Overall, the design doesn't really look that good, but I have seen plenty of redesigns that fix these features, so I'm going to throw my own hat in the ring and give you my design. Let's give this silly Billy Bunnyman a redesign. Starting from the top to bottom, I made the ears forward to the head and enlarged them up so that they're more noticeable. I decided to take the suit part of the right ear off and expose some wires. I made the gash on his head less noticeable, but it showed a bit of the bands that go around the skull when the spring locks are active. Going down to the eyes, I decided to keep the original Springtrap's eye, but take an eye out, as if he accidentally lost it when he was swapping suits, or take both of them out. There are instances the original Scraptrap actually looked good, and that being the salvage room and the ending of Pizzeria Simulator where he's burned to death. Like, if Scraptrap had empty eye sockets the entire game, I think that would have looked so good, but I decided to keep the original suit circular eye holders, I'm guessing. I guess that's what they're supposed to be. But moving downward, I kept the plastic nose and the muzzle, but I made it less dramatic than the original. I kept the 2 buck teeth, but I made the bottom jaw teeth just regular teeth like the original Springtrap. And I gave him a bow tie, purple in color, just to match his connection with Fredbear. And I kept the singular button that seems to be a trademark for Springtrap that seems to not translate well in most media. And I gave the rest of the suit a bit of a banged up, dented look and torn fabric, which was what I believe Scott was going for. But if you look closely in the holes of the suit, you can see that I added some framework beams to make it look like it has structure, but I made it look corroded and eaten away by rust, just to indicate that it's an old suit, and you can see some components of the spring locks. And if you look deeper inside, you can actually see the musculature and exposed rib bone of the corpse inside. On the left arm, I made the hand a leathery look as a reference to Springtrap's appearance in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And looking at the left arm, I made the forearm bone longer and added the extra bone. And I stained it a little red to indicate that he's killed someone. Hints of that being the small blood droplets on the suit arm. Moving down to the feet, on the right leg, I exposed the ankle of the suit, showing the frame and the spring locks collapsing onto the leg, and an exposed ankle bone before it into the metal foot. And on the other, I kept one of the original suit feet. Overall, I decided to go in a different direction than the original moldy green look that Scraptrap had, with a much more newer looking appearance. As if and was kept in much better condition than the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from when he got spring locked. And the suit's fur is matted and is slightly discolored with smudges of dirt on it and clumps of unkempt hair. The fabric, this stuff. As for the corpse, I decided to just keep it the same as the original Springtrap corpse. Overall, I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out, and I might do another redesign video in the future. Maybe I'll redesign Helpy, or one of the classic animatronics, one of the toy animatronics. I could even do fan designs like Five Nights at Freddy's Plus, because, ooh boy, I have some interesting things to say about those designs. No offense to the creator, but I'm just not a big fan. Anyways, I'll make another video in the future. I don't know if it will be another redesign. I'm currently working on a new Lost World illustration with Anthony, and I need to continue with my own Star Wars fan film, and I think I'm going to remake my very first illustration. Hopefully I can get that done soon. Anyways guys, I'm gonna trick my mom into watching the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and don't worry, I'm going to tell her the games were made by a Christian man, and it's produced by a Christian man, which is mostly true, but like what William Afton says all the time,
I always come back.